Hello and welcome back to our homestead. Today I would like to share with you another very simple meal, a quick weeknight meal on a budget. So what is it going to be entailing? It's going to be almost vegetarian, but not exactly. I will be using some dairy products here. So it's going to be a penne or any pasta of your choice, an artichoke casserole. We need to bring casseroles back. Let's make casseroles famous because that's how we can stretch $1. Okay, so let me show you all the ingredients that I'm going to be using today, and I'm just going to simply show you how you make a simple meal for at least 4 adults, and then 2 leftover for lunch for the following day. So basically, 6 servings is going to be right here in this dish. I am preheating the oven to 375 degree right now, or 400, 375, 400, it will do fine. And I have a 9 by 13 dish that I need to butter a little bit just to get that ready. And I'm going to start working on the rest of these ingredients. Well, step number 1, I'm going to start by boiling some penne. And I got this penne from Walmart, super affordable. I'm going to cook the whole box up. It's 16-ounce box. And here it says 8 servings. But I'm telling you, I don't know how little they think that we eat, because this really does not, in my opinion, it does not serve 8 people. It really serves 6 portions. But that could be just me. For other people, maybe it is really 8, especially if it's for kids, probably 8 if it's small portions. Anyway, so I'm gonna start cooking this up in salted water, boiling salted water until they are al dente, okay? So they're gonna be cooking. But the rest of the ingredients, I'm gonna be using, this is a frozen pack, 12, I think it's 12 ounces. Let's see, yes, 12 ounces of artichoke hearts, and they're frozen. One little note. Right at the top of it, it says that it can be steamed in a microwave, in a bag. I do not recommend. Please don't do it. Plastic. Let's not microwave plastic, okay? So I am just going to be defrosting it. And it's been on my counter for about half an hour. It's already semi-defrosted. So I'm going to be using it from this bag. If you don't have frozen, a 10 or 12 ounce can of artichoke hearts would also work. Then I bought this big bag. It's 10 ounces of fresh spinach. I'm only going to use half of it. The other half is going to be for my other dinner. I'm going to put it back in the fridge. So I'm going to only use 5 ounces of the spinach today. Also, I'm going to need some half and half. And this is half and half that I purchased last week. I'm going to need 1 cup of half and half, or cream or milk, whatever you prefer, whatever you've got available, okay? Then obviously we're going to need some olive oil. I'm going to be using 1 small onion. If you don't have an onion, fresh onion, go ahead and just use dried onion. It's going to work just fine as well. And then I'm going to be using 2 cloves of garlic, fresh garlic, but dried garlic would work as well. Garlic powder would work just as well. And then to season this goodness, I'm going to be using some dried oregano. I'm going to be using some dried basil. These are my own that I stored up, but you can always buy dried. And I'm just going to put a few pepper flakes, just a little bit for extra kick, but that's optional. Okay, as far as cheese, obviously we need cheese in this dish. And I'm going to recommend to use cheese that you have available right now in your fridge. Do you have mozzarella? Use mozzarella. You have Parmesan? Use Parmesan. I have cheddar cheese. That's also going to work. It's going to melt beautifully, okay? And it's going to add that nice sharpness. And then I discovered that I had on the bottom of my fridge few pieces of Pecorino Romano cheese. So I'm going to use a little bit of that as well, just to grate it on top of my dish. It's fine. All right, so let's start cooking, and I'm going to start by boiling the pasta. I've been taught by my Italian friends that I absolutely must season the pasta water with salt. And if we don't, the pasta is going to be very bland, and I believe them. So I'm just going to cook up the entire box of this pasta. It's going to take about 9 minutes or so. But really follow the directions on the back of your box. Okay, so let this cook, and we're gonna start working on other ingredients for this casserole. Can this pasta be substituted for a different kind? Yes, absolutely. Anything that you really like. I mean, I love penne because it has like little ridges on the side, and pasta, the sauce grabs to it that I really like it. But if you have gluten allergies and you choose to use gluten-free pasta, that's also going to work just fine. Any good dish starts with an onion. So I'm just going to take my little onion and just cut in tiny little pieces, because onion is not the main character in this dish. So we want it to melt and disappear in a sauce, okay? If you guys don't have fresh, listen, I've cooked with onion flakes and onion powder plenty of times and it worked just fine. But we have our own grown onion right now, so I'm using it up. Okay. So I'm going to start by heating up the skillet, and I'm going to start cooking up my onion until it's beautifully golden brown. So I'm putting a little bit of olive oil on the bottom. How much, I don't know, but enough to coat the bottom a little bit, okay? And I'm going to start cooking up the onions, okay? And to that, I'm also going to be adding up some garlic as well. And if you guys don't have fresh garlic, then a garlic powder will work as well. All right, garlic goes in here as well. Let them cook up together. All right, and now I'm going to start working on these artichokes. They are already defrosted, and they came in big chunks like this. These are artichoke hearts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roughly chop them so they look a little smaller, because when we're eating this casserole, we want this artichoke to be distributed throughout the dish. We don't want it to be all in big pieces. All right, so I'm just cutting them in about 1/2 inch of pieces. They will cook evenly. Okay, some of them are not all the way defrosted yet, but it's quite all right. All right, so let this saute nicely. Okay, and to this I'm going to be adding the artichoke as well, and they're going to cook up together. The artichoke is already cooked, by the way. It just needs to kind of marry together all of these flavors. Okay, this dish comes together pretty quickly. The only time that it's going to take is actually the time in the oven. Okay, all right, everything goes here together. Okay, all the artichoke is here, and let them cook up together until everything is warmed through and they begin kind of like release their flavors. Okay, now this artichoke definitely gonna need to be flavored with spices and salt and pepper. We will do that all in a minute, but let this all cook on medium heat because we don't want anything to burn. We just want to warm everything up. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my baking dish, and I just have a piece of butter that I'm going to butter up all the sides. Okay, making sure that nothing sticks to it when it's baking in the oven. And like I said, the oven is already pre-warming. Okay, so let's season this up. I'm going to put just a few red pepper flakes, just a few. We don't want to put too much because we want to bring a little bit of heat to this dish, but it should not be spicy. Okay, and we're also going to bring some much needed salt and pepper, and that should be to taste. And I'm going to try to flavor each step of the way, I guess. That's what I'm going to call it. Each step of the way should be flavored. All right. So a little bit of black pepper here as well. So this looks like it's done. The onion is caramelized nicely. I'm going to turn off this heat. And I'm going to check on the pasta because pasta should be coming close to being al dente as well. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that when I am straining this pasta, I'm going to reserve 1 cup of water. It's very important that I reserve water to make our casserole nice and creamy. I'm going to need 1 cup of this pasta water. All right, pasta is drained of pasta water. I reserved a cup of it, and it is al dente. It's okay. It's going to actually finish up cooking in the casserole. I am putting all of these artichokes in here. Now, to answer your question, did I have to cook them with onion? No, I did not. But it will speed up my time in the oven. And that's the reason why I pre-cooked them a little bit with the onions. Okay, so the artichokes are in here. And if you can tell, it's very pale kind of to the eye. We need to add some color. So to this, I'm going to be adding half of these fresh spinach, okay? It's about 5 ounces in here. I'm going to be putting it all in here, and this will melt down to nothing. It will melt very, very quickly into this dish, and it's going to bring a nice color. I probably have chosen a bigger vessel to mix this in. I tend to do that all the time. My family makes fun of me, saying, Mama, or my nieces will say, Auntie, I think you should have picked a bigger bowl. But here I am trying to save from washing too many dishes. All right, see, I managed. No need to make fun of me. I managed. All right, so let's add up our spices and our other ingredients. So to this, I'm going to be returning 1 cup of pasta water, okay? And then I'm also going to be adding 1 cup of half and half, but you guys can put half and half, you guys can put cream, you can put heavy cream, whatever you like. It's really to your taste, but I think what we had was half and half, and it's going to be just fine, okay? So that is going here as well, okay? I'm going to be adding a little bit more salt, not much, very little, okay? You don't have to, but I did. And a little bit more pepper. Why? Because, yes, the pasta water was salted, and the cheese will be salty, so I don't have to add too much. But I wanted to add a little bit more black pepper. And now I'm also going to be seasoning this with my dried spices. And this is dried basil. I'm going to take about a teaspoon, and I always do this with my hands. I kind of rub them together to release their volatile oils, and it's going to release that flavor. You know what? I think I'm going to put a little bit more because I'm not stingy. Okay. If I had fresh, oh, can you imagine with fresh right now? But it's the end of October. We don't have fresh. We have to use what we've got. And also I'm going to be using about a teaspoon of dried oregano. This is also my homegrown oregano, and I'm going to do the same thing. I rub it between my hands. The whole kitchen smells fantastic right now. Just want to let you know. All right, so let's mix all this goodness in together. Okay, and it's amazing how just a little bit of this spinach already changed the whole picture. Now we have this nice, beautiful colors. Okay, so let's assemble this dish. I am going to put half of this. It's nicely buttered dish. Okay, I'm gonna put half of it on the bottom. Okay, just like this. Half of it on the bottom. Okay, make sure there's a little bit of liquid. Okay, and I'm gonna spread this all around. Look how pretty it looks already. Huh? What do you guys think? It looks very pretty. And then we're gonna be shredding some cheese. I try not to buy pre-shredded cheese simply because it's a little bit more money, but not just money. It's also because it has cellulose added to it. All right, so I try to buy without, sawdust. We don't need to eat sawdust. And I'm going to be shredding a little bit of cheese. Like I said, if you had mozzarella right now, it would go crazy perfect here, but I don't. And since I'm cooking on a budget, I'm going to use what I have in my fridge, okay? So I'm going to be using half of that. The rest I'll put on top. And remember how I found this old cheese on my refrigerator shelf? It was pecorino. Means that it's made from sheep's milk. I'm going to be putting that here as well. A little bit, and I'll save some for the top. Okay? Probably about an ounce of cheese I have in here of this pecorino. All right, so let's put the rest of it here. Let's just pray that it fits, because it tends to not fit very well in all of my dishes. All right. The oven is already preheated and it's waiting for me to go. All right, so let me just push this all around. Mama Lil, you always overdo it. No, it should fit. It should fit. I promise you, it's supposed to fit. All right, it's all here. Now let's finish this off with cheese. All right, a little bit on top. Let it all melt through. Okay. All right, and I'm going to finish off with a little bit of this pecorino. Pecorino is not a cheap cheese, but I am happy that I have it. All right, and guess what, friends? It's going to go in the oven, and in the oven, it's going to cook at 375-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes, okay? Until all of this cheese is nicely melted and all of this pasta dish is nicely bubbling all around, okay? And that's what we are waiting for. So 20, 25 minutes, and just gauge by your own oven. In the oven it goes. Look at that, nice and bubbly. Beautiful. Okay, so this needs to rest for a few minutes, at least 10-15 minutes. Let this kind of cool off a little bit, and dinner is served. It's nice and creamy. You always welcome to put more cheese, but I think for my taste, this is just enough. So friends, I hope you are encouraged to cook on a budget. This is a very affordable and hearty meal for a family of 4 or 6, and with some leftovers for tomorrow. So on this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged and try something new.